On the way back home, there were no commuters hurling themselves onto the tube. The carriages were almost empty, and I was relieved, because if I had had a group of wet strangers pushing against me, vying for space, that would have just about done it. I sat opposite an old lady with wispy white hair. She had the kind of eyes that made me want to tell her that my best friend had died in my arms at exactly this time, 2:30, a year ago, and that since then I had been lost, truly lost. The old lady smiled at me and a lump began to form in my throat. I got up, moved seats and sat down beside a soggy copy of The Guardian. The page it was turned to showed the Turner Prize winner, Maximus Karl Hein, trying desperately to pose seriously. He was standing next to one of his pieces exhibited at the Tate, an old wardrobe stuffed with his worldly possessions. I pushed the paper away, feeling exhausted. It was all nonsense, people posing in front of wardrobes, passing it off as art and making headlines. Where was the feeling, the passion, and that crap? That the relationship with his wardrobe was imbued on his soul and that he had no option but to express it. Which PR person had thought of that line? Art was supposed to be passionate and full of emotion, not contrived. Not like an Emperor's New Clothes scenario, where a group of influential people said that the work was good and therefore people believed it was. What had happened to art? Paintings done by artists who didn't even care if they weren't known. Not some hyped artist giving a convoluted explanation behind a pile of dried fruit or a heap of junk. A year on, and despite promising that I would be true to myself after Key's death, I still participated in the circus. Tomorrow, no doubt, I would have to console Boo. What kind of name was that anyway? Knock knock, who's there? Boo? Boo-hoo? Don't worry, love, your apricots didn't win the Turner Prize this year, but you can sell them for at least $5,000. That's what I would want to say. But what I would probably say was, Ms. Williams, Boo, it's an injustice. I just can't see how you didn't win. Your concept and use of colour is simply inspirational. Was that what happened to you in life? You started off with such high hopes and ideals and then got sucked into all the bullshit and you pretended that that was reality. No, I didn't think that was the case with me. I knew deep down that life was too short to be doing anything other than what I really wanted to do. Key had shown me that, but that wasn't the problem. There were the occupants living in the semi to consider. I had a duty to make sure that they were happy, and keeping my job as a lawyer was fundamental to their all-important list system. Mum and Dad's short list was devoid of any kind of love or passion. Thinking about it, the Turner Prize shortlist and my parents' own were not that dissimilar, although the criteria were seemingly clear and transparent. The subject produced was, at times, truly baffling. In their case, the subject was a man and the objective of the list was to find me a husband. Like the art world, much went on behind the scenes that nobody really knew about. Favours were exchanged, backs were scratched and tactics employed so that the prospective candidate was overhyped to an influential few in order to persuade them that he was the right man for the job. The long list was drawn up by a group of well-connected elderly women in the community whose demure presence betrayed what they were really capable of. The criteria that had been set to filter the candidates were that they had to come from a good family background, be well educated, and have lots of money. One of my mum's roles was to whittle down the long list, but her primary task was to set the PR machinery in motion, to cover up any negatives, then to promote and hype the candidates and make sure they were shown to me in a favourable light. This week, she had managed to get the list down to 3 potentials, whose vital statistics were presented in the form of handwritten CVs.